Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post up to Facebook, and then I do these little question answer things on Wednesday. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They are an online therapy company. They are international. So if you are anywhere in the world, you're having a hard time getting into a therapist, go to BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez, fill out a few questions, and they will set you up with a therapist here in the US of A. If you are in the US of A and you don't like your therapist, go to BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez, fill out a few questions. They'll set you up with somebody that is licensed, professional, in your state, master's level or PhD level. So they are awesome, and they handle all kinds of different mental health issues. So anxiety, depression, etc., etc. So betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay. Questions. So I want to start with the firewall one. So I watched the Dr. Ramani video, and she basically is saying a firewall is like what you see in a computer. You know, it's like you have that protection so that it keeps malware out, is basically what she's saying. I strongly suggest you go watch her video. So Dr. Ramani on firewalling, basically what she's saying is educate yourself. Understand how the narcissist works. Knowledge is power. Understand you're not going to heal them. You're not going to fix them. They're not going to change. You've got to protect yourself, and knowledge is power. Can I just say that again? Knowledge is power. So go watch the Dr. Ramani video. Basically what, like I said, it's a firewall is just understanding, educating yourself on how abusers work, how they tick, what they think, how they do things. And it's really just making sure you understand, oh, they're baiting you. Oh, they're baiting me right now. Oh, they're wanting me to respond. Oh, I don't need to do that. So that's a firewall. It's kind of like educate yourself on this. So some of the books I would recommend for helping you get a really strong firewall. First of all, go watch Dr. Ramani's video. I love her. She's great. Go watch her. The books I would recommend on that is The Object of My Affection is in My Reflection, Coping with a Narcissist by Raquel Lerner. Understand what you are dealing with. And there's different types of narcissists. So there's the grandiose, which is look at me, I'm fabulous, I'm wonderful, tell me how great I am. You know, there's that. Then there's the covert narcissist. Oh, you're never right. You're never cool. I'm always the victim. I am the victim here. That's the covert narcissist. Then there's the communal narcissist. They are the ones who pretend to be gurus, okay? And I think I mentioned this. I saw one the other day on Facebook where the guy had a picture of himself and then he was like calling himself a guru. And I was like, avoid, avoid, avoid. You know, I'm just like, oh, Lord. So they are the ones that use metaphysical, New Age, Christianity, Buddhism, whatever, and they claim to be the only way and the only light. You want to run. Do not walk to the nearest exit if somebody claims that they have the only answer. They don't. So, and then there's somatic. Somatic are the ones that are very physical. It's like everything has to be perfect. Hair has to be perfect. You know, body needs to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect. They're very much into the body. That's what somatic means. So The Object of My Affection is in My Reflection, Coping with a Narcissist by Raquel Lerner. That's your first line of defense. That's understanding what you're dealing with. Then you want to read CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker so that you understand what your triggers are and where all this is coming from. And who does this abuser remind you of in your family of origin? Self-Esteem. The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, or You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I don't care. Pick a self-esteem book, start working it, and start working on your self-esteem. People with good self-esteem, generally narcissists don't even come near them because they know they can't manipulate them. If somebody's got any hint of insecurity, narcissist goes for the jugular on that one. They build them up, and then as soon as they got them built up, they crush them because they're evil. So yeah, go watch the Dr. Ramani video. Basically, she's saying education, knowledge, educate yourself. Understand that this is who they are, and they are not going to change, and understand what they are going to do. If you really truly educate yourself on what an abuser does, they absolutely are predictable. They follow the same patterns. They say the exact same things, no matter where they are in the world, no matter what their gender is. They say the same things. They do the same things. They act the same way. It's almost like there's a handbook. There really is. So if you understand what you're dealing with, you can follow the patterns and know what they're up to. Also, don't ever take them at face value. You know, they say pretty words, but look at the actions. Look at the actions. The other thing that you need to know is that when they are accusing you of stuff, they're talking about themselves. So if they're constantly accusing you of cheating or accusing you of having affairs or whatever, you might want to go get tested for STDs, seriously, because they're telling you what they are doing. And remember, it's that ego defense. They can't handle what they're doing, so it would make them feel better to think that you're doing what they're doing, so that way they don't have to feel guilty, or they don't have to take responsibility or anything else like that. Not that they actually feel, but So yeah, go watch the Dr. Romani video. So that's what firewalling is. It's just education. It's education. Make your defenses strong. Understand yourself. Know you. Know who they are. Know what they are about. Understand there's a pattern to it, and here's what they're going to do next. You could set your watch by it. Seriously, they are that predictable. So so that's what firewalling is. It's just educating yourself, understanding when to use gray rock, when not to use gray rock, how to get out quickly. And even though you may have to have continued contact with them, you don't need to engage. You don't. And I cannot stress that enough. When you are in a high conflict divorce, you don't need to engage. You simply answer what has to do with either the divorce itself or with the children or child. That's it. So you don't need to engage. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't. You do need to work on your inner child. So Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, or Inner Child Workbook by Lucia Cappuccioni, or any Inner Child Workbook. Just find one you like and start working it, because that inner child is the one that constantly wants to overshare, constantly wants to overexplain, constantly wants to be heard and understood. And you're never going to get that from an abuser. So anyway, there is that. Okay, what if the flying monkey is also autistic? So I think this is in regards to the question I had on Sunday about the cousin that was engaging with the shaming, the embarrassing with the ex that was narcissistic. So autism, oftentimes they have a hard time recognizing emotions or understanding socially appropriate behavior. In that case, you educate them. This is not okay. Here's what needs to happen. Don't do it again. And if it happens again, you and I are not speaking. So you educate them. You educate them, basically. And yes, autism does have that aspect of it where they don't recognize emotions necessarily. They don't understand social situations. So it may have seemed fun to them because they weren't quite catching the whole nuance of what this person was doing. So you educate them. You educate them and you let them know this is not okay. Do not behave like that with me. I won't put up with it. And you explain to them why. So autism oftentimes gets misinterpreted as narcissism, and it's not. It's very, very different. So, but there is that aspect of not recognizing social situations or behaviors. So you educate them. Absolutely. Okay, hope that answered those questions. Those are the ones from that. Let's go to the ones that I got on the internet this week. Okay, let me get out of here. And all right. What do I do about one-sided friendships? I feel like I am always the one that's reaching out. What should I do? Okay. Friendships are not one-sided. Let's be clear. A true friendship is a two-way street. Give and take. You call them, they call you. You call them, they call you. It's not ever you're always the one reaching out. You're always the one making arrangements. You're always the one fill in the blank. So if it's one-sided, again, communication is your best friend. So you make them aware of it. And hey, I feel like this is a one-sided friendship. I feel like I'm always the one reaching out. I'm always the one making arrangements. I'm always the one doing what's going on. So is that a difficult conversation to have? Yes. Yeah. And it's a little scary, to be perfectly honest, when you're starting to draw boundaries, but very necessary. So when I was a young adult, I had a friend from college that it was one-sided. Abso-freaking-lutely. It was one-sided. And we graduated and we kind of stayed in touch. And I finally confronted her. I was like, hey, I'm always the one reaching out. I'm always the one calling you. I'm going to stop. So if you want to hang out with me, you gotta put in some effort. Never put in the effort. And I was like, okay, we're done. Sad, but necessary. So yeah, and don't be afraid to quote unquote lose those people, because here's the deal. If they're not putting in the effort, if they're not making time, there's no friendship there. That's not what friendship is about. A healthy friendship is you like hanging out with the person, you call and chat with them, ask them how their day was, they ask you how your day was, you go to movies together, you hang out, you do your thing, you know. One-sided friendship is not a friendship. It's a frenemy. It's a frenemy. So don't be afraid of letting them go, because you're not really losing anything. Okay, so let's get rid of that one. Okay. Okay, can you have avoidant attachment but still feel codependent? Is that possible? Well, okay. So avoidant means you avoid. You don't. You just don't. You don't have relationships. You avoid. Codependent is where you feel like your well-being depends on everybody else being okay. If they're okay, I'm okay. That's codependent. Or you're leaning on somebody. You know, you're bolstering them up, or they're bolstering you up too, and that's not good. You know, so because if they go away, you go kathunk. So avoidant is you avoid everything. Avoidant attachment is you're like, I don't need anybody, I don't want anybody, and that's it. And then codependency is everybody else has to be okay or I'm not okay. So two kind of different opposing things. So I would read The Diseased Pleased by Harriet Breaker if you feel you're codependent. I would also read Codependent No More by Melanie Beattie. There's also one by PM Melody. There's a ton of codependency books out there. Pick one, start reading it. Avoidant attachment or avoidant disorder is where you avoid everything that you're not assured success at. And avoidant attachment is, I don't need anybody. Screw you. I don't need you. I don't need anybody. I'm a loner, blah, blah, blah. It's an ego defense, again, of, you know, my parents rejected me, therefore I don't need anybody. I don't need to ask for help. It's a trauma response. So, get with a good therapist, and start working on this. So go to, you know, betterhelp.com or Psychology Today or something. Get yourself a good trauma therapist and start working on, are you avoiding? Is this avoidant? Are you avoiding things? Are you codependent? What's happening? Where did this come from? Who taught you? Does that make sense? So that's what you want to do. Okay. All right. Is codependency part of the narcissistic spectrum? No. Narcissists don't care. Let's be very clear. Narcissists don't care. They just don't. They don't care whether somebody else is doing okay. They don't need other people. They need other people to feed their ego, but it's not like codependency. So let's be very clear about this. Codependency, you feel like if they're not okay, you're not okay. Okay? With a narcissist, they need ego supply. Okay? We are objects to them. We have no more meaning than this pen. We really don't. We have no more meaning than this pen. So they need supply. Codependents need to take care of other people. Okay, that's the difference. So with a narcissist, the target is caring for them, and they need somebody to care for them. They need somebody to be their target. They need somebody to be the object of their rage. They need somebody to be the object of their scorn. They need somebody to, etc. With codependency, they want everyone else to be okay, or they're not okay. And they're not okay if not everybody's okay. narcissist doesn't care. So no, that is not a part of narcissism. That is codependency. Again, get to a good therapist, betterhelp.com. Find a therapist in your area and start working on that codependency aspect. It is not a part of narcissism. Narcissists need targets. Narcissists need supply. They need that ego supply. They need that narcissistic supply to keep their ego going. And that's very different because they don't care. Once a supply is used up, we have no more meaning to them than this pen. Once the pen is used up, they toss it. So once the person is used up and is of no longer any concern or interest or whatever, then they toss it. They get rid of it. So yeah. All right. So there is that. I have a friend who plays the victim and is with an abuser. They seem to feed off the drama. Okay. Yes. So narcissists, the most common pairing is either narcissists with an empathic person, somebody who feels, somebody who has a conscience, somebody who is compassionate, etc. Or they pair themselves with either a minor narcissist or a covert narcissist, or they pair themselves with somebody with borderline. And the reason being is because they know how to push those buttons and they just rile this partner up and they feed off of it. And then this person screams back at them and then they feed off of it. So yeah, they're very common to see a narcissist paired with a borderline, a narcissist paired with an empath, a narcissist paired with a covert narcissist, because there's this feeding frenzy that's going on and it's extremely unhealthy. So yeah, they do. They feed off the drama like nobody's business. And unfortunately, they teach the target of abuse, especially if, the children were raised by a narcissist or a malignant borderline, etc. The kids then grow up and think that drama is necessary for a relationship, that it should be this high tension, high drama, high chaos. No. No. Healthy, normal relationships are like stepping into a comfortable pair of slippers. They're comfortable. They're warm and fuzzy. They're nice. There's no drama. None of that. So the lack of drama, the lack of chaos, oftentimes to somebody who's just in the beginning stages of healing feels really weird. Like really weird. It feels extremely bizarre to not have that drama and that chaos and that upset and that, they consider it passion, but it's not. It's not passion. It's drama and chaos and upset. And it's a learned behavior that we've gotten from our family of origin. So yeah, absolutely. Okay. Okay. My narc ex brother-in-law had to win at all cost. Why can't they see what they are doing? Okay. They don't care. They see what they're doing. They don't care. So let's be very clear here. We tend to assign disordered narcissists the same moral compass that we have. They do not have a moral compass. They wouldn't know a moral compass if it walked up and did the Watusi with them, okay? They don't care. To them, it is absolutely, they must win, you must lose. It is a win-lose situation. There is no win-win situation. To them, that's a lose situation. They don't want to be a loser. They don't, which is funny because they're the biggest losers walking around. So they absolutely have to win at all costs, and they don't care. They literally, guys, this is an ego thing. This is an absolute, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm better than you are. I'm one up, you're one down. That's what they do. And they do not care. And they do not care who they hurt in the process. So they know what they're doing. They don't care. You've assigned to them. It's kind of like anthropomorphizing, where we give inanimate objects human emotions. Okay, as kids, we tend to do that. Playing with dolls and that kind of thing. We tend to do the same thing with the narcissist. We assign the narcissist morals, or we assign the narcissist emotions, and they don't have them. Not the way you and I understand them. So narcissists do have to win at all costs, and they will harm, hurt, embarrass, shame, malign whoever and whatever they need to in order to feed that ego. They do not care. They know what they're doing. Don't kid yourself. It drives me crazy when I hear online somebody making excuses, being an apologist for a narcissist. Oh, well, they don't know what they're doing. Like hell they don't. They know exactly what they're doing. Do not ever let your guard down around a narcissist. They know exactly what they are doing. It is intentional. They are evil. Listen to me now, believe me later. I've been doing this for years. They're evil. They know what they're doing. They are intentionally harming people. They are intentionally shaming people. They are intentionally putting people down. They are intentionally doing scorched earth policy in order to be, quote unquote, right. They would rather everybody else around them be dead than them be wrong. So yeah, they do know what they're doing. My ex always wanted me to read their mind, and when I didn't, they would rage at me. Ooh, okay. So, all right, dysfunctional families. Let's talk about dysfunctional families. So dysfunctional families have this really bad habit of teaching their kids that their partner should be a mind reader. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, okay? Well, they should already know this. They should read my mind. They should know what I want. They should. Okay, shoulda, coulda, woulda is a mind bleep, okay? Look it up. There's a great book called Shoulda, Coulda, Woulda. I can't remember who it's by, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, okay? We're not mind readers. If we were mind readers, all of us would have won the lottery by now. So it's they look for any reason to rage. They look for any reason to stonewall. They look for any reason to be one up. They look for any reason to cause drama. They look for any reason. And one of those reasons is mind reading. Now, this is not just in abusive relationships. I've seen this in multiple relationships that were not abusive but had communication issues because they were raised by narcissists or they were raised by malignant borderlines. And what they watched was the mom or the dad demanding that the other parent be a mind reader. We're not mind readers. This is why we have mouth and vocal cords, so we can talk to each other and come to understanding and understand, what are you on the same page? Hello. So a great book for, well, first of all, if you're still in that relationship, get out. Second of all, a great book for good communication skills is Fighting for Your Marriage by Markman et al. There's more than Markman, but Markman's the only one I can remember. So it's a great book for communication skills. And one of the biggest traps that couples fall into is, well, they should already know this. Well, they should. Stop. They don't. You got to tell them, Now, granted, if you've told them the same thing 100,000 million times and they're still not getting it, then that's intentional, and then you got to look at something else. So, but this whole, well, they should have known, they should read my mind. Nope. You got to tell them. You got to speak up. You got to communicate. I feel, name the emotion, I feel angry, hurt, sad when this behavior happens. Please don't do it again. And then reflective listening. It's like, okay, I heard you say that you feel hurt when this behavior happens. Okay, here's what I can do to mitigate it. Okay, I'm hearing you say that you're going to mitigate it. I'm letting you know there's going to be consequences if it doesn't get mitigated. Do you see where I'm going with that? So it's a calm communication. There's no screaming, no yelling, no mind reading, none of that. So if you're in a relationship with somebody who's demanding that you mind read them, oh, no. That's not healthy communication. So they may not be a narcissist, but they certainly have got mistaken thoughts and mistaken beliefs on what healthy communication is, in which case get them to Fighting for Your Marriage by Markman. That would be my suggestion. Okay, let's go to the next question. All right. Ooh. My abuser came unglued when I drew boundaries and told me I didn't love them. Yes, and they will. They don't like boundaries. And they do feel like it's not love when somebody does draw boundaries and not allows them to not abuse. So if you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't respect boundaries, get out. get out. They're no bueno for you. You want somebody who respects themselves, who respects boundaries, who respects other people. Narcissists do none of the above. Abusers do none of the above. They hate themselves. They hate everybody else. Remember we talked about misogynist, misandrist, misanthrope. They hate everybody. They have no respect for other people's boundaries. It makes them angry because then they cannot abuse. So if somebody is claiming that you don't love them because you drew boundaries and wouldn't let them abuse you, run. Do not walk to the nearest exit. Get the hell out. Absolutely. Is it normal to have disagreements in a healthy relationship? Yes, absolutely. It is absolutely to have disagreements. It is not normal to have knockdown, drag out fights. John and I do not always see eye to eye on everything. We do not. We see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, but we don't see eye to eye on everything. I have friends that do not see eye to eye with me on, things like politics and things like that, but I'm still friends with them. So a healthy, normal relationship, is able to withstand differing opinions. It doesn't mean you have to make them your own, but you're able to hear the differing opinions and go, okay, well, I don't believe that, but let's go to the movies, But unhealthy relationships is where the person digs their heels in. You have to believe the way I believe, and if you don't, I'm going to hate you, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. What the hell? That's not a healthy relationship. Disordered people cannot tolerate differing opinions. It's too threatening to their ego, their very, very fragile ego. So when they are confronted with new information, differing opinions, etc., 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 they get enraged and they start raging and they start trying to use intimidation to get you to change your opinion or to change whatever fact you just presented them with. So it's normal to have disagreements. It's normal to not see eye to eye. What's not normal is throwing a temper tantrum, using intimidation, and throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, I like hearing differing views. I do, because it's kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Well, help me understand where you're coming from. Where's, where did you get this information? What are you thinking? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What's not normal is how dare you? How dare you have this differing opinion or differing view? And name calling. That's something that abusers do. That is something that narcissists do. If you don't agree with them, if you don't think the way they think and do the way they do, they start name calling, they start harming, they start hurting, they start smearing, they start, whatever. So yeah, it is normal to have disagreements in a healthy relationship. You're not always going to see eye to eye, but you're not going to have knockdown, drag out fights, and you're not going to hate each other. It's just kind of like okay, let's agree to disagree, So, for example, I don't like going up to John's hometown and visiting. It's very small. It's up in the mountains. It's not my thing. John does like to go up there every once in a while. So, he goes up there every once in a while. Do I want to go? Nope. So I stay home. There's no disagreeing like that. It's just kind of like, look, I understand you like going up. You go ahead and go up. I'm going to stay home. So, if disordered people are the ones that cannot handle differing opinions. So a disordered person would be like, well, but why? Why don't you want to go? Why don't you, and just trying to hammer it until you finally give up and go. No, you have the right to have a boundary. You have the right to say no. Do you see where I'm going with that? So yeah, be very careful of somebody who is unwilling to hear differing opinions and or starts name calling and or starts getting really angry when there's a differing opinion. That's kind of a red flag. So just be aware of that. Okay, this one's going to be the last because, yeah, okay. My ex constantly claimed they didn't know they hurt me, even though I told them. No, they knew. They knew. Let's be clear. I think this kind of goes back to the earlier question I had. They absolutely know what they're doing. They absolutely know when they've hurt us. Even psychopaths know when they've hurt somebody. They just don't care. So narcissists absolutely know when they've hurt someone. And when you make them aware of it and the behavior happens again, They're not sorry. If they've apologized, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but there's no real apology. There's no acceptance of personal responsibility, and they do it again. No, they're just sorry they got caught. They're not sorry that they did what they did. They absolutely know that they are hurting you. They absolutely know when they have landed something nasty. Like I said, they get that smirk. It's that recognition smirk or that recognition laugh that they get when they know that they've done something hurtful, harmful, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, they absolutely know. And it's not like, and especially if you've had to tell them multiple times, get out, get out. They're not going to change. They don't care. They do not care. So, all right. So that's all the time I have today. Again, I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're international. They're awesome. I'm thrilled with them. So you guys have a great week. And on Sunday, we are going to be talking about getting back to the real you, really getting in touch with who you are, what you want. Meditation. We're going to talk about meditation. We're going to talk about breathing. We're going to talk about exercise. We're going to talk about all of this stuff to help you heal and to help you recognize who you are so that if you are ever confronted with another abuser, you're listening to your gut and your body's going to be talking to you so that alarm bells are going off and you're not ignoring it. So we're going to talk about that. All right. You guys have a great week and I will talk to you later. Bye.